Alright, hello and welcome everybody to Flight Sim Fan Video. We're in the brand new Heapler Simulations F-14 Tomcat. I have sadly already about 17 hours in the airplane, and it's only been out for about 2 days now. 3 days, maybe more hours than that actually. However, it is an amazing airplane, and I really just can't get my hands off of it. This video is going to be made for the people who want to learn how to land either on a carrier or on just on a surface runway. You could use the same techniques. And it's also going to be an automatic carrier landing system. So if you don't have the landing down just yet, this airplane can land itself on a carrier without you doing anything. So it's pretty cool. And it's like a 777 almost without a land in it. So we have the front seat. If I press 2, we go to the back seat. I just want to let you guys know, if you've never heard about DCS before, this is a combat sim at heart. And they have some of the greatest modules, as in the F-18 Hornet, the A-10C, the F-14, like we see here, Ka-50. They're really good. This airplane, you get a full album of music, you get 2 campaigns, you get an F-14B. Heapler's also confirmed they're working on an A model, and you also, what else you get? You get a carrier that's going to come to DCS wide, and you also get, there's one more thing that I'm forgetting now. But you get all that, and this airplane is $80. It's crazy the amount of... It's such a little cost for such a big product. You can have 2 seats. It's fully multi-crew, so I can have a pilot in the back, or sorry, a REO in the back, online with my friends in the squadron, and I can be in the front, or vice versa. If you don't have anyone to fly with you, you have Jester in the back, who's an AI. So you activate Jester with A, and you press A on any of those tabs. It brings you to this page. You get A in radio, beyond visual range, within range. It's all for the radar, air to ground, navigation. You have Jester. It's such a good product for such a little cost. It's crazy that this even exists. Anyways, so this is going to help you get to the landing situation. So what do you need for a landing? Well, the first thing you're going to need, obviously, is your bindings for pitch and roll. So pitch and roll are here. I also have a slider for, this is DLC, so this is direct lift control. I'll show you this in a second, but you're going to need, if you have a Thrustmaster Warthog, it's nice to have this on a slider somewhere. But if you don't have it, don't worry. There's buttons you can map for it later. I also have throttle, split throttle left and right, so I have that here. And I have a rudder pedal, rudder pedals, so I have that here. Wheel brakes, I have down here as well. Little tip and trick for any DCS airplane. If you cannot fly formation, or it's very loose and it's very wiggly, like an L-39 or anything, highlight Joy X and Y. You can only do it one at a time, but highlight Joy X, let's say, access tune, and adjust curvature. Never touch a dead zone, because it ruins the flying experience. Start with 20 and work your way down or up from 20, and set it Joy Y, axis tune, and set it up there as close as possible as well. That'll make the flying a lot better. What it does basically is, see how in the actual stick you have, it goes from the very base of the floor up to your hands. It's like a full stick, whereas in a joystick you have just a little bit of a column for your joysticks. There's not a lot of playroom there. So what curvature does is it mimics that long stick, and you can actually you have a little bit more control over it. Not little movements don't have such a huge action in the airplane. So curvature is really good. Don't put dead zone though. Next thing you're going to need is DLC. As you can tell, I'm also in VR. So hopefully the graphics are okay. But in VR, I also have the gear mapped, and my hook mapped, and my refueling probe mapped, just so I don't have to take my headset off and look for the keyboard commands. So if you want that as well, you can go ahead and do that. But DLC is next. You're going to need toggle / countermeasure dispense. So this activates DLC. And then thumb wheel forward, which thumb wheel's on the stick. I'll point to it later. But thumb wheel forward, that'll bring the nose down. And I'll show you what it means later, how it looks. And aft will bring the nose up. This also has with the slider command that I showed you in access assign. I'll show you it again. Here it is. DLC, this will do the same thing with the slider. So nose down, nose up, I believe it is. It's depending on how you have it set up. But you're going to need DLC. And that's pretty much it. So now we'll hit OK. I have ourselves an active pause right now, so we're not actually moving. We're stationary, but we can hear stuff. So as you can see, Jester's already set up the ILS for us. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit A for Jester. I'll go over here. It doesn't matter what box, but hit A again. Hit Data Link. We're going to go to Set Host and CVN 74.
Okay.
So he's going to go do that in the back seat. And now, once he's done, I'll show you where he's put that in. So if you have a human Rio, or if you want to do it for yourself, you can find where that is. So you hit 2, go back here. Data link is all the way back here. This is your data link section. So give it power, have it forward. Now as you can see, there's a little 3 there. It's probably hard to see in VR. There's a little 3 right there. And then you type in the rest of the channel that you have set up for the data link that's set in the mission editor. You set it in there. Every server has a different channel. They should show up in the right shift K menu. I've never actually been able to find it, so I just have Jester set it for me. When I have a little bit more information, I'll give you that detail, however. But now on Radar, you get all this traffic and everywhere because it's all data linked through, so it's pretty cool. But the carrier has a different channel, the AOX has a different channel, and the data link channel always goes in this panel, and you need to have it on. Next, if you're doing from a cold start and you want the ILS to work, since we're in the Rio pit, you come back left, so back left panel back here. You're going to make sure the radar beacon is set to the on position. On. That's pretty much it for back here. We go back to the front. Now, every carrier has a different ILS channel. I should mention the data link channel should be in the briefing of a mission. If it's a properly made mission, it should be in the briefing. So left Alt B. It should be in here if you scroll somewhere. And every mission has a different one. So that's the... I think that's the frequency just for the boat. Data link active. Yeah, so maybe that is. You can go check actually. See what he said it to. He has it to 200, so let's hope it works. But it should be in the mission briefing. And the ILS should be in the mission briefing as well. And the ILS over here, in that front seat, it's actually at this panel right here. So we're going to select 1-1. Actually, I guess it depends on what channel it is. I always set to 1-1, so it's a habit. But in this server, it's actually just channel 1. And you get your localizer and your glide slope. Make sure the system is powered on. So on. And that's it from up here. So next I'm going to show you DLC. So I'm going to come out of active pause. I don't know what's going on here. But a little weird. We'll just level off. So don't worry about the boat just yet. I'm just going to show you what DLC is. Let me trim that out of here. There we go. Alright. Yeah, once you go to the Rio pit in an active pause and you come back to the front, it kind of gets a bit weird. But you can pretty much easily get it back. So DLC, so let's slow down. So I'm bringing the power off. One thing about the airspeed indicator, the knots are in the inside, Mach is on the outside. Until you pass this little arrow, then it should transition into knots. So it's 90 knots, 100 knots, 120, 150, 160, 170, all the way to 200. 0.4 I think is the last one you see. It's a bit of a weird airspeed indicator, and VR is sometimes hard to see, so I just use a position. If I'm up here looking at the runway or whatever, if it's roughly the needle pointing at 150 or below, it's roughly a good airspeed, and also you're using on-speed AOA, so airspeed is not too important on the landing. You're trying to use the E bracket in the HUD, or once you put a gear down, our AOA indexer down here, just like my F-18 video, the same exact thing in the Tomcat. So let's slow down a bit more. You're also going to need an air brake button. I forgot to show you that, but it's just called air brake, I believe. I'll get to that in a second, but it looks like this. Let's put our wings in the auto mode forward. Master reset, because it's a feel-good switch. And now our wings will come out as required. So the boat's going to pass on our right. Don't worry about that. I just want to show you DLC. So the speed brake can come in. So for DLC to work, we need it. Well, the button I have anyways. We need to have gear down. We need to have our flaps to full. And hooks for a carrier landing, obviously mandatory, but you don't need DLC for it. But we'll put it down. We'll keep it down anyways. All right. So why do the wings go back? That's incorrect. All right. Let me manually fold them out. Sometimes if you do a hot start, at least with me, I probably did it wrong. But sometimes hot starts in air, they don't work. There we go. All right, now they're in auto and they are forward, and they're staying forward. Flaps are down. So I was wondering, I'm like, we're losing a lot of altitude for some weird reason. That's because the wings are folded. All right, let's get. So see how the nose keeps wanting to rise on me? It's kind of annoying. You can use speed brake, but it's just the nose keeps rising. I'm trimming. this is where DLC comes into play. So I'm gonna press DLC toggle, and there, do you see that? See that kind of just activate there? A little bit of spoiler on the wing. Now if I hold forward, they come up and the nose drops. If I hold aft, they go down and the nose naturally starts to lift up. So the airplane is naturally a floaty airplane. It has a lot of lift with these giant wings and full flaps. So when you're coming down on an ILS or whatever landing system you're using, or just VFR landing, and you want to control your descent rate, you can actually do it with DLC. So that's max. And there's holding aft, holding forward, holding aft, neutral. Now if you have it like me on my joystick, on my throttle slider, you can actually vary how much you want of it. So there's full, there's not as much. You can vary how much you want, which is kind of cool, and it's better for the E bracket. Now I'm going to hold left shift pause. Now I'm not the master of this just yet. To get this, to get the airplane on speed AOA, it's a bit of an art form, but this is what it looks like, and I have it in here in a split second, and I have it paused, or we're not moving anywhere. So you want to have the orange donut. That means you're on speed AOA. But an easier way to look at that in the HUD is this E bracket. So as soon as you have the E bracket aligned with your little vector here, it's not your velocity vector. Your velocity vector actually is just points where the nose is going, if I'm not mistaken. But you want to have that in the center. As long as you have that in your landings, you're good to go. If you're, I'll unpause here. If you take out power and you pitch up, that E bracket's going to fall. That means you're slow. So you have a green arrow, that means you're slow. If I keep not adding power for whatever reason, you're going to get really slow. You're going to start getting some wing rolls, some buffeting. That means your AOA is just increasing too much. So we'll put the nose down. Let's put the power up. That E bracket will fly straight back up. And there it is. We'll pitch back up. Now if I put too much power in and hold the nose down, that E bracket's going to fly way up. So I'm too fast. You can see my speeds. We're around 200 knots right now. So it's finding that nice balance of speed, DLC, pitch, and throttle. That's really the art form in it. So I'm not really a master just yet, but I'll try to get my best here. So I'm using the DLC. I'm at max deflection. About there. And you can use the DLC. I'm cycling it as I go. So I'm holding forward. It's not. And you can adjust power as you need, and your stick. So it's really an art form. If you flew the 18, it shouldn't be too hard to get used to. If you've never flown the Hornet, it'll be a bit of a learning curve on it. So that's all well and great. Now we got to put this into a landing. So I'll see you guys when we're back at the end of the boat. So the ILS is showing me right now that, actually I'll come back into the pause in case you've never seen an ILS. So you have two components of the ILS. You have a vertical component and you have the horizontal. The vertical is our localizer, so that's our direction, that's our lineup on the ship. So this means the lines to the left, I need to come left to align for the runway. Now the horizontal component is a bit up, which means I'm a bit low. So I gotta actually climb to get back onto the glide slope. The glide slope's 3 degrees. So let's do that. Alright, so as we're coming around the boat here, I decided to just give you a circuit. Or it might be a little long, but we should be fine. I will mention, and I will apologize in advance, this mission has a lot of boats on, or a lot of airplanes in the ship. It doesn't usually lag for me, but when I'm recording in VR, it might get a little laggy. But what I'm trying to do here is get the localizer on speed AOA, and the glide slope. Also, when possible, you want to switch to the ball, which is on the left-hand side of the ship. Whenever possible, you see me, I'm varying those wings. I'm not being still with them. I'm not being still with the power. I'm constantly changing them, and it's for whatever you need them for. So if you need to descent, you can do that. Oh, no, I'm a bit high. I got a little high at the end. Put a little power in. Middle power, and power can come off. Hook up. But that's how you use DLC. So I hope you understand that you're constantly varying them in the air. If you have a slider, you can choose how much you want. So this would be max nose down, or max spoiler, which causes the nose to come down. This is my slider. This would bring your nose up because you have all that lift now back. and you can vary how much you want of it. You also have the buttons, which I showed you the map as well. I put this on my CMS. CMS forward, nose down. CMS aft, nose up. A little weird, you get used to it. And then you also have your power that you got to play with as well. So that's a manual landing with manual throttle, manual stick controls, and a nice day VFR. I'm going to show you now the automatic carrier landing system. Alright, so we're back into the ship again, and now we're going to do the data link and the ILS for the automatic carrier landing system. So the things you got to set up in the front are this switch here. You're going to switch to ACL, automatic carrier landing. This switch here, autopilot, we're going to turn that on. Next, we're going to go in the back seat, and we're going to plug in the data link channel for the boat. So we're going to make sure the switch is on, and that we're set to, I believe it was 200. Now that's on as well. And you get a light here saying it's on. We're good. Now we're going to go back to the front seat. We're going to select, I like to have my VDI, I believe it's called right here. I like to have this in the ACL mode. And I like to have this in the ICL mode, or ILS mode. Next, you're going to want to verify you have this in AW, or AWL, and you verify we have it in landing mode. I will get ourselves at unpause here. Oh, geez, not again. Every time you go to the real seat, it'll do that. So you got to trim all the way back, nose down. Don't ask me why it does that. Alright, so you can see it says autopilot reference and voice there. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my nose wheel steering button. I'm going to wait for, let's put our gear down, let's get our flaps down. Hook is down. Oh, gear down. I'm holding my nose wheel steering button. You can see it says landing CHK, I think. It's kind of hard to read in VR. That's normal. Now, obviously, you'd be established a little bit further out if you're doing an automatic carrier landing. You wouldn't be this close trying to get them centered up. You can do it. I just wouldn't recommend it. Make sure ACL is on and the autopilot's on. I'm holding the button. You can see ACL ready, autopilot. So I'm gonna hit ACL. I hit my nose and steering button. There it is. I'm not doing anything. Next, I'm gonna hit my auto throttle to the auto mode. So now my auto throttle's taken over, and my autopilot's taken over the landing. So as it's landing, because I don't have to do anything, I'll explain what I've done again. So we're gonna make sure the HUD is in ILS. We can switch it down to ACL if you want to now. VDI is in ACL or ILS, whatever you like. Then you're going to verify that you have AWL selected here. Landing mode selected. Hook, gear, and flaps. Auto throttle to auto. Autopilot on. And this button here to ACL. The proper ILS frequency of 1. In the back seat, you're going to verify the correct data link channel, and then it's turned on. You also gets pilot or the warnings of what the autopilot is doing back here as well, which is just saying that we're caught on the localizer for the ILS approach. It will hold your on-speed AOA, localizer, and glide slope for you. So as it starts to get slower, you can. Oh, the auto throttle got kicked off. So let's go back to auto. Don't know why I did that, but you got to monitor it. So if it does do anything, it's an old aircraft. Remember, monitor it constantly. So I might have touched my throttle by accident. So that's not me doing anything. I'm not touching anything. You can see that my control inputs are 0. I'm not touching anything at all. This is all auto throttle, all autopilot. And 3-wire every single time. Throttle comes idle. Flaps come up, hook come up. Let's wing fold down, down, and up. Nose wheel on. Let's get rid of the controls here. And let's taxi off the deck. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial of how to manually land, how to get on speed AOA. Just kind of do a little bit of the little things in the 14. Don't know where I'm going to park. I'll stay right here. Parker brake on. It is an amazing airplane if you don't have it already. There's so much to it in the Rio seat especially. It's almost like you get two airplanes. They could have charged probably $50 per seat and I would have paid for it. But anyways, I hope you learned a lot. I hope this helped. And this will probably make your K3s a bit better if you don't know how to do them just yet. You can watch how the autopilot does it. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.